Welcome to GTC 2022. I'm Kimberly Powell, VP and General Manager for Healthcare here at NVIDIA. The applications of AI in healthcare continue to amaze and accelerate. I'm excited to share our growing suite of computing platforms that are enabling the ecosystem to make incredible progress in digital biology, drug discovery, and real-time medical devices. GTC is an incredibly unique conference for healthcare, bringing together pioneers in academia, startups, software platform makers in every industry, from healthcare delivery, genomics research, medical devices, and drug discovery. To mention a few, Carolyn Chung, Chief Data Officer at MD Answer Cancer Centers, puts an AI into context, using the metadata of medical imaging to boost AI performance. Joshua Meyer, Lead AI Scientist at Absci, will present recent breakthroughs with their in silico protein drug discovery platform. Regina Barzilay, Professor MIT Computer Science and AI Lab on AI breast cancer and personalized patient screening. Bill Pine, Senior Director of Surgical Robotics at Medtronic, will give us a glimpse to the technologies transforming the field. Ola Engqvist, Head of Molecular AI at AstraZeneca, shows how AI is accelerating drug discovery. And Mohammed Al-Qarishi, Professor at Columbia University, will present OpenFold, democratizing the prediction and modeling of protein structures. Ewan Ashley from Stanford shares the amazing achievements of accelerated genome sequencing for critical care, where every second counts. Not to mention a distinguished panel discussion on AI for molecular dynamics and drug discovery, featuring D.E. Shaw Research, Roivant Discovery, AstraZeneca, and NVIDIA. I'm honored to host such a diverse set of disciplines with a unified understanding that AI is a game changer. We invented NVIDIA Clara as a computational platform to enable the healthcare industry to leverage its most important data and apply the latest computing technology. Today, healthcare data is 30% of all the world's data, and by 2025, healthcare data will be growing at the highest compound annual growth rate of any other industry at 36%. Bringing the state-of-the-art in accelerated computing, AI, simulation, and advanced graphics, data can be transformed into robotic assistants, drug designers, and early detection systems. NVIDIA Clara is our AI computational platform where we are developing domain-specific tools, AI models, accelerated applications, and frameworks to address the industry's most important challenges. MONAI is a domain-specific open-source training framework for healthcare. NVIDIA Flare is an open-source framework for distributed training and privacy-preserving AI model development, created to address healthcare data challenges, but a paradigm needed by every industry. Clara has over 40 pre-trained models across imaging, drug discovery, natural language processing, and computer vision. And our NVIDIA Clara Parabricks is a suite of enterprise genomics analysis software. Recently announced, NVIDIA Clara Holoscan is a full-stack platform for hardware systems to system software and SDKs that are enabling the AI software-defined medical device revolution. NVIDIA Clara software suite and full-stack platforms are giving the industry the tools needed to accelerate discovery, create new applications, and generate new business models. Let's take a closer look at MONAI. MONAI had an incredible year, a breakthrough year. Addressing AI development end-to-end has proven to be tremendously valuable. It engages the healthcare industry experts who may not be AI experts first. MONAI Label uses AI assistants to reduce the time and effort of annotating new datasets and trains a model to a specific task by continuously learning from user interactions. MONAI delivers data center scale training of domain-specific model architectures like 3D-UNet for medical imaging segmentation problems. Advanced training methods like AutoML, which use neural architecture search, automatically finds the best model architecture according to the given data. This is a huge boost in researcher productivity. The MONAI contributors make sure to keep pace with state-of-the-art approaches like self-supervised training pipelines to explore vision transformers and apply them to downstream tasks. Once a model's trained, MONAI makes it easy to deploy into real-world environments by packaging it up into clinical applications that plug right into healthcare hospital IT infrastructure. MONAI is a community-led open-source consortium formed by the world's leaders in healthcare AI, cultivating open research and accelerating the pace of innovation. Global integration of MONAI increases its accessibility on every cloud, onto ML platforms, and packaged into familiar open source tools. MONAI is approaching 50,000 downloads per month, 7.5 the monthly download rate just 1 year ago. Research and development is heating up, and publishing is coming from all the top academic medical centers around the world. Don't miss Monai at GTC. There's a Monai developer meetup, Monai and Amazon SageMaker, and Guy's and St. Thomas's NHS Trust using Monai as the AI operating system for hospitals. Over the last 5 years, new instrument sensors, robotics, and automation have created the digital biology revolution. Sequencers, microscopes, diagnostic imaging devices can capture biology with increasing throughput and resolution. In particular, the last 2 decades have brought tremendous advancements in genomic sequencing, a process that involves conversion of DNA from living organisms into digital information that can be read, processed, and analyzed by computers. DNA sequencing, the foundation of digital biology, has reduced in cost, dipping below $1,000, and exciting a global trend to generate over 40 exabytes of genomic data by 2025. The availability, breadth, complexity of digitized genomic data is growing rapidly. New sequencers are coming to market for both short and long read sequencing, and the ability to do both. NVIDIA is working with all sequencing companies to improve and accelerate the primary analysis phase of base calling. Today's genomics applications are trending to the use of combination of both long and short read data, building new demand for sophisticated analysis applications. Global programs are underway to sequence all living organisms, to create population-specific reference genomes, to centralize millions of human genomes with their healthcare outcome data, and to rapidly sequence critical care patients to identify rare or inherited diseases that have treatments. As digital biology databases grow from petabytes to exabytes, modern information science approaches and AI will power breakthroughs in drug discovery, synthetic biology, that have broad-reaching effects, not only for healthcare, but agriculture, energy, manufacturing, and climate science. In just the last 6 months, a team of researchers at UC Santa Cruz and Google developed a deep learning-based analysis pipeline that produces state-of-the-art variant calling results for Oxford Nanopore data. The team showed that long-read nanopore-based methods outperform the industry standard short-read single nucleotide variant identification at the whole genome scale. Simultaneously, a clinical sequencing trial to shorten the time of sequencing critically ill patients from today's 2 weeks to hours was underway at Stanford, led by Dr. Ewan Ashley. NVIDIA joined forces with Sneha Goenka, an electrical engineer PhD student at Stanford, to help accelerate the pipeline. With the efforts of the entire group, a reduced end-to-end time for sequencing Dr. Ashley's patients achieved the Guinness World Record in January, finishing in just 7 hours and 18 minutes from a previous 14.5 hours. Let's hear a bit more about how this impacts patients.
Patients with rare or undiagnosed diseases often undergo a diagnostic odyssey, spending time, money, and numerous hospital visits to uncover the cause of their disease. Rapid whole genome sequencing can help identify the genetic cause of a disease and match patients to the right therapies quickly. But sequencing a patient's whole genome can take weeks and isn't a part of standard care. So a team from Stanford, Oxford Nanopore Technologies, NVIDIA, the University of California, Santa Cruz, and Google set out to accelerate a whole genome analysis workflow. They developed a world record, ultra-rapid DNA sequencing technique from sample to diagnosis in just 7 hours and 18 minutes. Their results were published in January in the New England Journal of Medicine.
It was a phenomenal collaboration between all the parties. So we're talking about putting something on at breakfast and having actionable data at lunchtime.
Oxford Nanopore's PromethION 48 DNA sequencing instrument was critical to their achievement. The PromethION 48 uses flow cells, which contain an array of tiny holes, protein nanopores, embedded in an electroresistant membrane. As DNA passes through the nanopore, an electric signal is generated, which is classified into base pairs using a deep learning model powered by NVIDIA. This is called base calling. The team used 64 GPUs in the cloud for base calling, alignment, and variant calling. Genetic variants were identified by a pipeline using NVIDIA Clara Parabricks. Curation and final diagnosis happened after that. This ultra-rapid nanopore DNA sequencing technique helped a 3-month-old infant who was suffering from seizures. By identifying the correct genetic variant in just hours, a definitive diagnosis was made quickly. A standard epilepsy gene panel that was ordered at the same time took 2 weeks to return results and didn't even include the gene affected.
This is an exciting moment because this has the potential to fundamentally change critical care.
NVIDIA was so inspired by this work, we partnered with Stanford and Oxford Nanopore to democratize this capability to clinical research everywhere. Today, we are announcing UNAP, a containerized version of the ultra-rapid nanopore analysis pipeline that runs end-to-end on a single DGX A100 node, dramatically reducing the compute infrastructure so sequencing can be done right in the clinic. For the first time, Oxford Nanopore PromethION can now locally base call and align while the sequencing is happening, making real-time sequencing a reality. Not only does this dramatically reduce the computing infrastructure complexity, but it also significantly reduces the compute cost per patient by 2/3, from over $500 to under $200. We will continue to partner with Stanford and Oxford Nanopore so you can get your whole genome sequenced while you nap. Get it? The increasing volume of biomedical data in biology and chemistry requires the development of new methodologies and approaches for analysis. Applying AI to digital biology is elucidating biomedical knowledge that has evolved over human history and lies within the language of DNA and protein sequences. Digital biology has become an information science, working towards an end-to-end modeling of disease pathway, the genes involved, and the drug-target interactions. With rapid advancements in accelerated computing and AI, we now have the computational scale necessary to simulate more and more complex biological process and speed the pace of discovery. With over $60 billion in VC funding over the last 2 years alone, the field is exploding with new companies who are building AI drug discovery platforms to address the over 10,000 diseases with only 500 approved therapies. Let's look at some amazing breakthroughs that happened in just the last couple of months. First, a survey of some research. DeepMind's DM21 set out to improve the last 30 years' most popular method, DFT, used to predict properties of systems in chemistry, biology, and materials. DeepMind developed a machine-learned density functional. This is able to accurately model complex systems such as hydrogen chains and charged DNA base pairs. We are now one step closer to the universal functional, which could allow us to solve quantum chemistry problems at perfect accuracy. Equibind, created by researchers at TU Munich and MIT, is addressing a fundamental problem in drug discovery of predicting how a molecule interacts with a protein. There are several important quantities: where the molecule binds, the active site, how the molecule binds, the pose, and how well it binds, the affinity. Equibind reaches state-of-the-art with respect to pose, and it's much faster than the competing methods like docking. At the University of Washington, Levy and Baker combined an AI-designed protein with CRISPR and showed it's possible to awaken individual dormant genes by disabling the chemical off switch. This new approach allows researchers to understand the role of individual genes in a cell and begin to learn what makes cells healthy, age, or mutate into cancer. Next, let's take a survey of a few of the exciting companies in the space. Orbnet Denali, created by company Entos, is unlocking a new class of molecular simulation. Researchers use molecular simulation as a computational microscope to analyze how molecules react with proteins. The most accurate but too computationally expensive is quantum mechanics. The most efficient but least accurate is empirical force fields. Orbnet Denali is a machine-learned potential that learns the interactions between atoms and is as accurate as quantum and almost as efficient as empirical force fields. In Silico Medicine, late last year, announced the first AI-discovered novel drug for a novel target that entered into phase 1 human trials. In Silico has an end-to-end approach using deep learning for target identification and generative models for small molecule generation. This is an amazing industry first. And Absci has the first generation of their fully in silico protein drug discovery platform. and they are announcing exciting results here at GTC. Provided a target antigen, this version 1 of their platform uses graph neural networks to design antibodies de novo and refines their properties using large language models applied to their protein sequences. One of the most powerful deep learning architectures that have emerged in the last couple of years is the transformer. Transformer neural networks are powerful AI architectures that move us beyond AI applications that find patterns or learn from repetition into AI that can learn from context and create new information. Transformer-based models train on unlabeled datasets in a self-supervised manner and improve their accuracy with size. This is why NVIDIA created NeMo Megatron, an accelerated framework for training large language models and can scale to trillions of parameters. NeMo Megatron manages partitioning models, sending data, and collecting results, and uses mixed precision to get the best possible performance. Transformer neural networks typically have a two-stage paradigm, pre-training a model with fine-tuning for a task. This paradigm is well suited for digital biology, where labeled data is scarce and unlabeled data is tremendous. Large pre-trained models have implicitly encapsulated the knowledge of the domain for which it was trained and can be used to search features and generate data. In the case of proteins and chemical space, where the training datasets are much smaller than all possible combinations, pre-trained models can generate molecules or sequencing not in the database in which it was trained. In the clinical NLP domain, a major challenge is data availability, cost to label data, security, and privacy. Pre-trained large language models can generate realistic, de-identified synthetic training data. Let me share some of the incredible work we are doing with our partners. Today, we are announcing the next iteration of MegaMolBART that was jointly developed with AstraZeneca. MegaMolBART is capable of training large chemical language models with 1 billion or more parameters using NVIDIA's NeMo Megatron framework. It includes scripts for accelerated data pre-processing and training that implements model parallelism. A new version of the MegaMolBART model that achieves supercomputing scale molecular generation and achieves high validity and uniqueness of 98%, where validity measures how well the model captures chemical constraints and uniqueness checks that the model produces molecules not seen in the training set. Several downstream use cases are now possible, such as molecular optimization, fine-tuning in NeMo, and creating proprietary molecular feature stores. Sign up for early access starting in April 1st. Large language models are a critical enabler of today's AI drug discovery platforms. Today, we are announcing our next generation of Cambridge One collaborations with 4 amazing AI drug discovery startups. Alchemab's antibody drug discovery engine is identifying novel targets and therapeutics in the area of neurodegenerative conditions and cancer. Datasets of antibody sequencings are exceptionally large, 50 times larger than the BERT transformer corpus for natural language processing. Cambridge One will help scale language models that represent antibody sequences in computational space to increase understanding of antibody structure and their function. InstaDeep, an elite member of the NVIDIA Partner Network, delivers AI-powered decision-making systems for the development of next-generation vaccines and therapeutics. Leveraging publicly available 12 billion nucleotide sequences from 450,000 species, Cambridge One will train a large language model using some of that data and make it public so healthcare researchers can derive new insights from the rapidly growing sequencing datasets. Peptone is a next-generation therapeutics company that works on intrinsically disordered proteins, IDPs, proteins that lack structure and are deemed undruggable. Their platform, Oppenheimer, runs a supercomputer stack running AI and simulation. Cambridge One will take Peptone's AI model development to exceed billions of parameters and predict millions of proteins and enhance the platform to discover more plausible drugging targets. And Relation Therapeutic uses single-cell profiling, human genetics, and functional genomics with machine learning to create maps of causal relationships that drive disease. Cambridge One will be used to build language models from DNA and RNA sequencing data that could open up areas of biology that are almost impossible for wet lab experiments, like how changes in DNA sequence affect the gene expression in the human brain. So I've talked to you about transformers and large language models being used for biology and chemistry, but of course they apply to natural language processing applications across healthcare. We have exciting work underway with Janssen, Johnson & Johnson's pharmaceutical division, to help ensure safety of drugs on an ongoing basis. In the industry, this is called pharmacovigilance. The Janssen R&D team and NVIDIA used NVIDIA Biomegatron, a state-of-the-art pre-trained language model that understands the nuances of biomedical literature, and NVIDIA NeMo training framework for easy customization and fine-tuning. Using NVIDIA NeMo and Biomegatron, Janssen improved adverse drug event detection recall by 12% to reach 88% while maintaining precision. This results in classifying many more adverse events, which will help to increase patient well-being and discover potential positive and negative side effects. Janssen further optimized the new model using NVIDIA TensorRT and Triton to get a 2x performance gain in model inference, improving the cost and operational efficiency for Janssen and their intelligent automation team. Biomedical and clinical language models are dense and filled with domain-specific jargon, which is why domain-specific models are needed. Clinical data has additional complexities, including clinical jargon, siloed data, and it contains protected health information. Yet the opportunity for clinical NLP is tremendous for research and improving patient care. Today, we are announcing the University of Florida and NVIDIA made the world's largest clinical language model called SynGatortron that can synthesize clinical data, naturally de-identified and mimicking unstructured clinical data sets. SynGatortron is used as a data factory to generate large volumes of synthetic clinical reports at various types. As an example, we prompt SynGatortron to generate millions of synthetic discharge summaries. We show that pre-training clinical language models on synthetic data results in models that meet or exceed the performance of models trained on real-world de-identified datasets. For the first time, we're releasing Gatortron pre-trained models to the community, free and open source on NGC. 2 models will be made available. The model trained on real-world de-identified data, Gatortron OG for original, and a model trained on synthetic data, Gatortron S. Gatortron models substantially reduce the barrier for developing clinical applications used across the entire industry for hospital systems, pharma, insurance, and contract research organizations. This is an amazing contribution to the field. We talked about the digital biology revolution giving us new tools to diagnose patients and discover drugs. We talked about the power of domain-specific language models that have broad applications across the healthcare domain. Now let's talk about the future of AI and medical devices. Today, the healthcare industry is faced with incredible challenges: aging and growing populations, chronic disease driving up demand for medical care far beyond the supply of medical professionals. By 2030, 1 in 6 people will be over 60. 6 in 10 adults in the US have to manage chronic disease. Even today, only 1/3 of the world's population has access to medical imaging and surgical treatment. It's now possible through continuous sensing, computation, and AI for medical devices to detect, measure, predict, simulate, adapt, guide, essentially become robotic in a way that augments clinical care teams, helping to meet the demand, maximize efficiency, and increase the access to modern medicine. NVIDIA Clara Holoscan is an open, real-time computing platform for the healthcare industry, providing the computational infrastructure needed for scalable, software-defined, end-to-end processing of streaming data. Clara Holoscan is an all-in-one computer that supports third-party front-end sensors and combines NVIDIA's 3 chips: NVIDIA ConnectX, high-speed I/O, and GPU Direct RDMA, NVIDIA Orin system on a chip, and RTX A6000 discrete GPU for AI inference and advanced rendering. Clara Holoscan is cloud native and supports over-the-air updates, based on a microservice engine to run modular, multimodality microservices, allowing developers to create low-latency streaming applications running on-device while passing more complex tasks to the data center resources. Let's take a look at Holoscan in action for microscopy. Light sheet microscopy, invented by chemistry Nobel laureate Eric Bexig, uses high-resolution fluorescent microscope to create movies of living cells, giving researchers the ability to study biology in motion. The challenge is these microscopes generate 3 terabytes of data per hour, and some experiments can take a full day to complete, and then an additional day to process and visualize. NVIDIA Clara Holoscan makes it possible to process and visualize the microscopy data in real time. At the Advanced Bioimaging Center at UC Berkeley, researchers are using Holoscan and AI to automatically detect interesting biological events and autofocus the microscope while the experiment's running. Clara Holoscan can process the data in real time because it pulls the data directly from the sensor into the PCI Express frame grabber and uses GPU Direct RDMA for GPU image processing, deconvolution, and deskewing. Holoscan applications are composed as graph microservices that seamlessly distribute processing from device compute to data center resources, using zero memory copy to ensure high streaming performance. Here, Holoscan streams processed microscopy images to the data center running a microservice of NVIDIA Index for interactive, large-scale volume rendering. Let's take a look at what light sheet microscopy can see.
Now with Clara Holoscan and NVIDIA Index, we can visualize the entire large volume of living cells in real time as the data is being recorded directly from the microscope. Watching these living cancer cells move about, we can see normal healthy biology and malignant processes at the same time. The fluorescent marker rendered in blue marks nuclei, which we see splitting to form 2 cells from 1 cell. A hallmark of cancer is cell division occurring more frequently and with less error checking than normal healthy cells. Using Berkeley's lattice light sheet microscope, the ultimate high resolution allows scientists to see what is hidden to normal light optics, not seen using traditional microscopes. As we zoom in, watch cancer cells display what is thought to be a rare event, even for cancer cell lines. See 1 cell split into 3 cells. This phenomenon has only been reported anecdotally in a couple of scientific publications. Scientists do not yet know what we will see, but this technique, enabled with real-time processing and visualization, now allows the scientific community to discover new, unseen events like this. Let's see what the future has in store.
We are working with the entire sensor ecosystem to support Clara Holoscan so every medical instrument can accelerate their development and become real-time sensing systems. Working with AJA, Blackmagic, DeltaCast, Yuan, Magewell, and Kaya, our global partners are providing video capture cards supporting SDI, HDMI, DVI inputs commonly used in radiology and endoscopy and surgical displays. Verisonics and Us4Us provide ultrasound transducer front ends with access to raw RF data to develop reconstruction and image processing algorithms for software-defined ultrasound. And Spectrum general purpose digitizer cards support ultrasound, radiation, and laser sensors. The NVIDIA Clara Holoscan Developer Kit works with multimodality sensor front-end support, and it has a cloud-native SDK with reference applications to give developers a head start. Clara Holoscan Developer Kits are available today, with the Orin-based kits coming second half of 2022. Clara Holoscan is being adopted by the leaders in the industry, from top medical device makers to new robotic and digital surgery platforms. CareStream fully integrated intelligent X-ray room uses continuous AI for patient placement, AI image processing, and image quality and denoising. Siemens SPECT-CT nuclear imaging system auto-adapts CT dose and performs smart zooming. Active Surgical provides surgical guidance with tissue perfusion and blood flow visualization for critical real-time guidance to surgeons. Hapley Robotics, a next-generation physical simulation training platform, PlayStation for surgeons, is set out to train 2 million surgeons in over 260 procedures. And IM Fusion's platform is a self-navigating ultrasound acquisition robot that fuses with 3D MRI data and segments in real time. The applications for Clara Holoscan are endless. Today, we are announcing Clara Holoscan MGX, a medical-grade platform for real-time software-defined medical devices. Holoscan MGX is a 3-chip scalable reference design for embedded and edge computing. Based on NVIDIA Orin to deliver 250 AI TOPS and scaling to over 600 AI TOPS with the RTX A6000 discrete GPU. NVIDIA ConnectX-7 delivers streaming I/O with up to 200 gigabit Ethernet and GPU Direct RDMA for ultra-low latency processing. MGX has safety, security, and manageability built in. With a safety microcontroller that supports running a real-time operating system, a baseboard management controller for over-the-air updates and monitoring, and an external root of trust for boot security. The Holoscan MGX reference design will be available from our global partners: AdLink, Advantech, Dedicated Computing, Contron, LeadTech, MBX, Onyx, Portwell, ProDrive, Ryoyo, and Yuan are all announcing today support for Clara Holoscan MGX. NVIDIA provides the MGX stack with over 10-year whole stack support. The core of MGX stack includes the operating system, drivers and supported I/O devices, NVIDIA's AI inferencing and acceleration libraries, and reference applications. Holoscan MGX is a medical-grade full-stack platform that customers build applications on, dramatically reducing engineering investment and providing the architecture for a software-as-a-service business model. NVIDIA Clara Holoscan is a one-of-a-kind end-to-end platform for the healthcare industry, from AI development to production AI deployment. With the world's most advanced AI development frameworks, Monai and NVIDIA Flare for model development, and now a complete deployment architecture with Holoscan developer kits and production deployment on Clara Holoscan MGX medical-grade platforms. The impact of AI in healthcare applications is accelerating. The digital biology revolution has begun. Sequencing cost and throughput are generating a tsunami of genomic data that the world is just learning to understand. Today, with Oxford Nanopore breakthrough technology, real-time sequencing is becoming a reality for critical patients. Transformers and large language models are helping to shed light on the lower levels of biology that human evolution has written. Cambridge One is helping scale AI protein and drug discovery platforms to take advantage of the recent breakthroughs in billion and even trillion parameter chemical and molecular language models. NVIDIA's MegaMolBART provides a training framework for chemical language models capable of generating molecules. AI tools built specifically for healthcare, like Monai, invite the industry experts to get involved and build AI applications that help solve their most important challenges. Tens of thousands of AI applications are needed in radiology alone. Clara Holoscan completes the picture, giving AI models a platform for development. Now, with Holoscan MGX, a medical-grade AI computing platform, the medical device industry can evolve to a software-as-a-service business model, giving doctors the latest innovations and extending healthcare access through AI and robotics. The future is bright. Have a fantastic GTC.